What's up, guys? Welcome to Whiskey. I'm Jeff, and today we're going to be doing another rundown of all the whiskeys that I have in my collection, all of the open whiskeys that I have in my collection. So far, we've done Islands and Isla, and we've done World Whiskeys. Today, we're going to be moving on to the Highlands. I've got a few good ones here. Stick around. Okay, so we'll start off with the usual apologies because I don't have a proper set yet. This is an in-between period. I just moved. I haven't set up the set yet, so it looks like this now. Also, some housekeeping here. There are still a couple days as of me posting this for you guys to vote in the Oswas. The deadline is October 20th. These are the online Scotch Whisky Awards. These are from you. They're for you. These are the most transparent awards out there, and you still have a couple days to have your voice heard. So if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and do that. I'll put the link down below in the description. Anyway, moving on, as I said earlier, today we're talking about my Highland collection. Now, we did cover my island whiskeys the other day, so those will be excluded. We're not going to argue about what belongs in what category. So I guess if you want to specify, it would be mainland Highland whiskeys today. As always, I do have a misreport in my glass. This is actually a blended whiskey, but the vast majority of what's in here is from the Highlands. Also, we do have a touch of whiskey from Campbelltown in here, as well as some grain whiskey from the Lowlands. This is a very popular blend these days. Some of you may have already figured it out. Good luck guessing. And that's it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into this breakdown of my open bottles. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. Actually, before we start, I do feel like I have to keep saying this. These are just my open bottles. I also have closed bottles, and I have another probably additional 40% of my collection that's just not here with me because I've split those bottles with friends. Last time I covered World Whiskey, and everyone's like, where are your Cavalans? I have 3 Cavalans on the go. They're just not here. So if there's something missing, I may still have it. Don't at me. Or do. Actually, YouTube likes it when you comment, and so do I. So you know what? At me all you want. All right, so we'll start things off with a brand that has lost some steam since they discontinued their old collection, but I do feel like they're slowly bouncing back, and for good reason. They're still excellent whiskey. The first whiskey I'm going to show you is this one right here, and this one is the Old Pulteney Huddart. Now, this is the bottle that I think a lot of people ignored for the first few years after it came out. I did. I wasn't that interested in picking it up. I was kind of angry at the brand after they rebranded. A lot of people were, but you know what? This is not bad. It's 46%. I'm not sure about color and chill filtration, but I do think it's fully craft. It is widely available. It's pretty affordable stuff. Matured in bourbon casks, finished in ex-peated casks. So we have the classic Old Pulteney coastal character. We have a little bit of a smoky touch in there. Won't blow you away or anything, but pretty solid. Check it out if you haven't. Sticking with Pulteney, our next bottle is this 16-year-old right here. This was a travel retail back in the day. I'm not sure if it's still a travel retail. They still have a 16 out, but it looks different and it's not as dark as this one. So this one, as the color would suggest, it's quite richly sherried. It's a very deep, very complex, and even somewhat waxy iteration of Pulteney. So not very distillate forward, which is usually what I look for, especially in a coastal brand, but this one really works. 46%. Again, I suspect it's fully craft, but I can't be sure. Yeah, if you see this one around, I'm not sure how available it is, but if you see it, check it out. Really good. Next, we're going to switch up the brands. We're going to move on to Glenmorangie, and we're going to look at an absolute classic, and that's this one right here. It's the 10-year-old. This has recently been replaced by a 12-year-old. I haven't seen the 12 in my market yet. The 10 is still here, so it's not been phased out here, but it will be in most markets, probably I would suspect within the coming year or so. Whatever. Anyway, I drank a lot of this when I was just getting into whiskey. It's a very straightforward whiskey. It's 40%. It's colored. It's chill filtered, so it's not an enthusiast bottle, but it is very widely available. It's very affordable, and it's just very honest. It's got the Glenmorangie distillate at the 4, bourbon matured, classic stuff. Still like it. But if you want to up your Glenmorangie game, I highly recommend you check out the 18-year-old. I think this is an absolutely beautiful 18-year-old that no one talks about. No enthusiasts like it. Understandable, 43%, colored, chill filtered, so there is that. But widely available, relatively affordable for an 18-year-old, and really nice flavors. I don't know, like, yeah, fine, it's not for enthusiasts. I don't know why more people don't talk about this. This is sophisticated, it's complex, it's rich. Absolutely beautiful stuff. A bit of an unsung hero, if you ask me. Next up, we'll keep the 18-year-old thing going, this time with Deanston 18, which is almost finished. This is a really good whiskey. It's a craft whiskey. It's widely available, and it's very affordable. So if you want a craft 18-year-old at a good price, This is probably one of your best bets. Deanston, very floral flavor profile. Not always a favorite. I'm not a big fan of the 12. The 18, I enjoy. Do I love it? No, but really solid stuff and good bang for buck. So another one recommended, especially if you like particularly floral profiles. Moving on, we've got Glendronach 18. This is an older bottling. This one's from 2017. This is one of the last bottles that Billy Walker put out while he was working with them. This is beautifully rich, sherried, complex, lots of like raisins, dates, Christmas cakes, cinnamon, wonderful flavors in here. Very cask forward, so this is for your sherry bombers out there. This particular version is older than 18 years old. Long story, the distillery was mothballed. If you're chasing the Billy Walker stuff, don't overpay for it. It is good, and yes, it is better than some of the more recent ones, but I've seen some ridiculous prices on these. Either way, any version, even the Rachel Barry stuff, any version of this, still good. Not necessarily my go-to style of whiskey, but delicious nonetheless. Last up in our 18-year-old rundown, I have Oban 18. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I absolutely love Oban, so I was always destined to love this one. And I do. Unfortunately, this one is 43% colored and chill filtered. Now, when I talked about the Glenmorangie 18, for some reason that one didn't really bother me given the lower ABV. This one, I just feel like it deserves better. I guess I always see Oban as a bit more of an enthusiast whiskey than Glenmorangie. Whether I should or not is another story, but it deserves better. I wish it was a little bit stronger and I wish it was more natural, but regardless, it is an absolutely beautiful whiskey. This is an American exclusive, however, so if you're outside of the States, you won't be able to find this. But if you are in the States and you want to see what happens to Oban at an older age, it is still really good, worth checking out. Next up, we're going to move on to a blended malt, and that is Compass Box Orchard House. Now, this being a blended malt, the component whiskeys may not all be from the Highlands, and if I wanted to find that out, I could. Compass Box is very transparent about what goes into their blends, but I don't do research for these. Again, these videos are always low effort. I'm too lazy. I just moved. Regardless, there is surely some Highland whiskey in here, and this is beautiful stuff. So if you like those really fresh, bright, juicy, fruity, delicate Highland profiles, think Glencairn 10. If you like that kind of whiskey, you're going to love this. The label is very fitting. 46%, non-chill filtered, natural color, widely available, very affordable. This is one of the best affordable blended malts on the market today. In fact, probably my favorite, particularly in its price range. Great bang for buck, great whiskey. And now for something completely different. So if Compass Box Orchard House gives us like a fresh, bright, summery whiskey, this Edradour will take you in a completely different direction. This one is a 12-year-old. It is cask strength at 57.6%. 2011, bottled 2023. This is, I believe, part of their core range, even though it comes out in batches. Oloroso matured, Oloroso sherry butts. Absolutely delicious stuff. This one was recommended to me by a patron, and I'm glad he did. Even though, as I've said before, heavy sherry bombs, not necessarily a go-to style. I do like one once in a while, and this one's really solid. It's got that classic dirty, heavy Edradour sherry, which I know a lot of you guys out there love. Yeah, good stuff. Moving on to Ardnamurchan. This is a brand that I have a few expressions from. We'll start with this one right here, which is the Midgie. Midgies are biting insects in the north of Scotland, and they actually paired with a brand called Smidge, which is a bug repellent, so that's an interesting brand to partner with. Don't worry, they didn't put any in the whiskey. This is good stuff. Classic Ardnamurchan, so we have a nice balance between the distillate and the casks, and there's quite a few casks at work in here. Don't hold me to this because, again, I don't research these videos. I think it's bourbon, sherry, Madeira, maybe, and Sauternes. I could be wrong there. Either way, there's a few casks in the mix, and that sounds like a lot, but as always, they make it work. If you're in the UK, not too expensive, solid, casual sipper. This was sent by a patron. Stephen, thank you very much for sending this. Good stuff. We'll follow that one up with the sherry cask release. This one came out last year in 2023, and it was an immediate, huge success. I remember people were grabbing them up for a while. People couldn't find them. Really good stuff. Now, I'm going to get a little bit of flack for this because this is not my favorite release from them. In fact, I think it's one of their weaker releases, and that's only because I love the Ardnamurchan distillate so much that I don't want it covered up by too much of a heavy cask influence. I'm not saying it's too heavy. It still works with the distillate, and we still do get the Ardnamurchan character, but I think it could be calmed down a little bit. That's just me. I know a lot of people absolutely love this one. Most people that I've talked to online rank this in their top, among their top Ardnamurchan. So very, very popular stuff. 50%, as always with Ardnamurchan, fully natural. I can't trash talk it. I'm just saying it's not my favorite. Is it very good? Absolutely. Next up, we have the only Ardnamurchan in this little group here that I have yet to review on the channel. This one is the Madeira cask release, 58.2%, so definitely a punchy whiskey. Now, I'm glad if I do get around to reviewing this, which I probably should. You can let me know down in the comments how interested you are, but I'm glad I waited to really formulate an opinion on this one because I remember when I popped this, it was too sweet, and I kind of wrote it off for a little while. Now, after it's been open, it's been exposed to some air. I think I opened this like 6 months ago, maybe even longer. It is much better now, and it's an absolutely beautiful whiskey. Still a bit on the sweet side for me, but really good stuff. Check it out if you haven't. And finally, from the brand, we saved the best for last. I have the Pulteney release. Pulteney is a champagne brand. This has been finished in champagne casks. This is cask strength, 57.1%. As far as I'm concerned, guys, this is the best thing the brand has ever put out. Now, I've had some of their more fancy, more expensive single cask releases. For me, nothing compares to this one. Very delicate, very rich, very complex, very sophisticated, especially when you consider the age. I mean, this stuff is less than 10 years old. You would never guess it. This just has so much going on. Great profile, great flavors. Can't recommend this one enough. Next up, we have an interesting one. It's another Oban. We talked about the 18-year-old earlier. This one is the 11-year-old. This is cask strength. This is part of Diageo's special releases lineup from last year, 2023. There's a new one out this year. I'll be buying that the moment I see it. I buy every Oban the moment I see them. This one is interesting because it's not as well respected as the other two that preceded it. They've only put out 3 releases, 4 now. And the first 2 were big hits, at least with me and a lot of people I know. This one, less so. And that's largely due to the fact that it's finished in Caribbean rum casks. And while I don't think it was unsuccessful, it just goes in a little bit more of a different direction. It is very rum forward. The influence from the rum casks, for me, might be a little bit too heavy, but it's definitely interesting, flavorful, and you guys know I'll take Oban any way I can get it. I still think it's fantastic. I just think it's the weakest one we've got. It's not a weak whiskey. Really good. Okay, last but not least, I have AnCnoc 24. This is an absolutely beautiful whiskey, 46%, fully natural. Obviously, great age statement here. This is a sherried expression. This got really popular about 2 years ago. A lot of people, I don't want to say were hyping it up, but they were talking about it, and rightfully so, just because A, great quality, and B, considering the age statement, very affordable stuff. Now, unfortunately, here it's gotten a lot tougher to find, and I believe it is more expensive nowadays. I don't know if that's the natural progression of things or if it's due to that popularity, but either way, if you can still find this one and you can get it for a good price, great whiskey, check it out. All right, that was the list, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. That was the full breakdown of all of the open bottles from the Highlands that I have here. Once again, that's just here. I have more open bottles elsewhere, but if you want to yell at me down in the comments because I don't have a bottle you think I should, do it anyway. As I said, good engagement. And finally, if you stuck around to find out what my mystery pour is, I have something in the glass here. I mentioned the majority of this blend is from the Highlands, but we do have stuff in here from Campbelltown, and we have some grain whiskey from the Lowlands, and I said it's very popular. What I'm drinking is this one right here. Hold on, let me put my glass down. What I'm drinking is this stuff. Now, this is Maclean's Nose. It is released by Adelphi, and the vast majority of what's in here is single malt from Ardnamurchan. Very, very popular stuff. A lot of people love it. A lot of people love it more than I do. I don't dislike this stuff, and I respect what they've done here. It's not my favorite whiskey, and I still think it's good, and I still think it's good bang for buck. It's just, it didn't blow me away that I think a lot of people hoped that it would. Still excellent, and still worth picking up because it's not expensive. And yeah, I think that's everything, guys. As always, thank you very much for watching. And if you want to help support the channel, I have Patreon and PayPal linked down below. If you're already supporting the channel, appreciate it. Cheers. I guess we'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.